Καλησπέρα σας, καλοί φίλοι τηλεθεατές. Καλώς ορίσατε στην εκπομπή μας Faces, πρόσωπα. Welcome to our program Faces. Before I go further, I have to say a big thank you to our sponsors, Dr. Vasilis Mavru and Varosi Lettings. Thanks very much. And I welcome Drew.
That's right.
Or Andrea.
Και από τα δύο, δεν πειράζει. Το Drew είναι το όνομα τώρα που έχω που κάνω το jazz.
Σε γνωρίζει ο κόσμος πιο πολύ σαν
At the moment Drew, yeah. Το καιρό, έχει παλιό καιρό που τραγουδούσα τα ελληνικά. Ήμουν Άντρια εκείνον τον καιρό και με ξέρανα για Άντρια. Αλλά τώρα I've kind of just, because I've moved genres of music as such, so it's a case of sort of reinventing and as myself as a jazz singer.
You never stopped. I mean, you are carrying on from.
To be honest, I've had a very, very long break. Very many years break because I had to raise my children and kind of things change when you have your children, your priorities change. But I've always had a love for music. Όταν είναι κάτι ανάμεσα σου, you can never really let it go. So τον καιρό εκείνο που ήθελα να κάνω μια δουλειά που ακόμα θα μπορούσα να χρησιμοποιήσω τη μουσική. So I actually created my own children's musical educational classes.
Bravo. Before we go further, I like to travel backwards.
Go backwards.
Να πάμε, we go, I want you to remember your young age, when you were a kid. Where do you born? And, tell me about your childhood, give me more information about your family, where they come from. They are both Cypriots? Or?
They are indeed, yes. They came over again in the 50s, wanting to create a better life for themselves. My dad trained to become a tailor. And
Ράφτης.
Είναι ράφτης, ναι. Αλλά εξαιρετικός ράφτης. He became sort of quite a renowned tailor, although a very humble man, very renowned. Making a lot of suits for a lot of the big stars like James Bond and Tom Jones, Barbara Streisand, Captain Limos, the Greek shipping tycoon. And Dad also made a lot of suits for Savile Row. I like τον καιρό. Savile Row obviously wanted to put their labels.
Is your dad still alive? Yes.
He is indeed. He retired a couple of years ago and wanted to go back to Cyprus.
What's his name?
Nikos.
Καλησπέρα κύριε Νίκο.
Nikos.
You know something before you go further? You remind me of my dad. He was a rafty. He was raftis, tailor.
Yeah.
And humble and all this. I mean, similarities,
very
plenty
humble.
of similarities.
Very, very hard-working. Yes. Fantastic father. Very, very loyal, dedicated father. And it was quite funny at times actually, because obviously, unbeknownst to myself and my sister, Dad used to come home very late, and when that sort of work means that you've got to bring a lot of work home with you. So my sister and I used to help my mum finish the jackets inside by hand. So τα ράβαμε εμείς στο χέρι.
Εσύ έραβες, εγώ εξέραβα, έβγαζα τις...
But the strange thing but the strange thing was, like my sister and I were working on a jacket, and then Dad will say, "Yeah, be careful with that because that's for Omar Sharif." Or,
oh my God!
Be careful with that one because that's for James Bond.
So you touched their,
absolutely. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, I mean,
but you never touched them.
No, and it's a shame really that they didn't have the sort of social media and cameras at that time, because Dad would have had such a beautiful collection of photographs, because he used to measure up and fit these people, cut the suits. They used to go into the shop, this little Greek man working on his bench in Carnaby Street, and he's measuring and fitting Barbara Streisand and Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible.
How old were you when you...
Well, my sister and I think, started sewing when probably we were about 10 years old. And obviously at the time, you don't realise about these sort of great, these people.
That's good.
So yeah, it was fascinating part of growing up. And Dad actually won a competition as well. Very, very humble, self-taught man, never went to school, learned to read and write by himself. And there was a tailoring competition, and Dad created a reversible jacket which was really ahead of its time at the time, with the most perfectly balanced straight shoulders, and they couldn't figure out how he did it. He had his own way. He did win. He came second place actually. Yes. And then later on in life, it was really funny because it's like, Dad, when he tells us the story, it was, you know, I would say, Dad, how did you do that? And he says, well, if I tell you my secret, I'll have to kill you. And I said, oh, come on. But what he did was he used the fairy liquid, the bottle fairy liquid. So it's got the little tube.
Okay.
So he would use the tubes from the fairy liquid to sew them inside the shoulders. Yes. So he would get perfectly aligned and pointed shoulders.
Very clever.
But yeah, and so,
and where he came, I mean, which village he came from?
So my dad, ο παπάς μου είναι από την Ταύρου και η μάμα μου είναι από τον Άγιο Σέργιο στο Αμοχώστο. So obviously, you know, because of the situation, they had to sort of move over to Larnaca. So they're living in Larnaca at the moment.
They went back, yes?
Yeah, Dad retired about 8 years ago, and it was always, ήταν πάντα ο πόθος του να πάει πίσω, να γυρίσει στην Κύπρο, να, you know, tend to his lemon trees and να απολαύσει τη θάλασσα και τα λοιπά. So,
nice.
Yeah, they're very happy, and I'm very blessed that they're still around.
Okay, and you educate yourself, you know.
I did. I did my O-levels, I did my A-levels. I had a real passion, and I still do, for languages. I'm fluent in French. Bravo. Obviously, μιλώ και ελληνικά. I know I'm not speaking.
Parlez-vous français?
Oui, je parle bien le français.
That's the only line I know.
That's it. That's what everybody knows.
And I know oui.
Oui, yeah. So I've always had a love for languages.
But you love the Greek language as well, and especially the Cypriot dialect.
Ναι, μπορώ να πω και από τα δύο, μπορώ να μιλήσω και από τα δύο, αλλά I do understand, obviously, both. I did go to Greek school, although we hated it at the time, a little bit like the girl from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, when we kind of all identify with that, but I'm glad I did now, because I don't know, it's really strange for me, because although I was born in London, I've always felt a very, very strong and deep connection to my cultural roots, and so when I go to Cyprus, it's great.
You tell me about Cyprus later on, because I know you love Cyprus very much. But tell me about your singing. How it came into your life, and when did you start singing?
To be honest, I was always.
Were you listening to Elvis?
No, I was listening to all the lovely, lovely old Greek songs that Mum and Dad used to put on the pickup at the time, you know, with the records. I've always been.
It was the παλιά λαϊκά, that
πολλά παλιά λαϊκά.
Καζαντζίδης, Μαρινέλα, Ιορδαλίδια, Περτινιάδης, Στράτος Κύπριος.
Love it, and I still love that to this day. If I'm honest, I mean, I would love to possibly collaborate with some Greek musicians down the line, and almost sort of. Bring that genre and bring that era of songs. I have an idea,
okay? And I have a proposal for you.
Back to life again. So
I'm going to organize something like, you know, with Old Laigan, with Marinella songs and Glygeria songs and all this.
Και Βιτάλη και Χάρης Αλεξίου και τα λοιπά αυτά. Είναι ο πόθος μου. So I used to sing as a child. I was an always singing and dancing little girl at home. Πάντα όταν θα πηγαίναμε κάπου, or when we had relatives around, I'll be dancing and on the tables and on the chairs. Then I started singing, actually no, before I started singing at family weddings, I used to sing at school a lot.
Yes.
And it's something I actually still do today that drives my kids insane sometimes. I don't realise I sing a lot of the time. I sing and I hum to myself. And όταν ήμουν στο σχολείο, when I was about 11 at school, I used to sing and my friends used to listen to me. Then every playtime, there used to be like a little hut in the playground. So I used to sort of go into the hut and just put on a show for them. Bravo. And I used to sing. And so then they told the teachers about me at the time, because I was brought up as Androula.
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 Androula, so, that's where the Drou came from.
That's where Drou came from. Although I was christened Andriani.
Ah, okay.
Ναι, so είναι μερικά τα ονόματα που έχω. So the teachers then approached me and said, oh, you know, they kind of took me into the music classes and got me working with the piano teacher. And before I knew it, I very quickly became the star of the school concerts. But our school concerts were quite amazing. They were full productions.
Yes.
It wasn't a case of this little school concert. We had full bands. We had, what's it called? The smoke and the ice and whatever on stage.
Yes.
So I did kind of, I was kind of building up a little bit of a reputation at that time because I was only about sort of 13, 14. And it was also the time, ήταν ο καιρός που υπήρχαν τα Rotary clubs. I don't think they're around as much anymore. They were sort of bodies of people that would provide sponsorships for young, up-and-coming musicians or gifted children. And they did come to one of the concerts and then they wanted to interview me. So the local newspaper came in, did an article, and then they invited me to a big Rotary dinner, which I went because they were going to sponsor me. They wanted to sponsor me to advance as a singer and mentor me, and then I was going to perform at the Royal Albert Hall. Unfortunately, a little bit of life got in the way. I suppose being Greek was a little bit difficult.
Well,
and you know, I don't blame them for it, but I understand. You know, parents sort of were a little bit overprotective at the time.
They're stricter on this.
Yeah, they were quite strict. So
but you managed to do things, yes?
Well, I did. Although that didn't progress, I did have other opportunities which I did take up on, and that sort of started with singing at the Greek clubs. Των καιρών εκείνων που ήταν το Κάτω Blue, το Ταύρος, το Λεπανάς. I was quite sort of renowned on the scene then.
That period, it was about 80s?
Yeah, like it was around about the 80s.
Yes,
it would have been around about the 80s. I mean, they were, you know, really, really popular then. And εκεί που ήταν και ο Μακαρίδης, ο Σούγκα, ο Θέμης, ο Τσάς, ο Κυριάκου. So, but amidst that, I was actually doing a lot of session work as well. So I'd done a lot of sort of English session work, backing vocals, and recording for a lot of adverts. And because obviously I spoke French as well, it meant that I could sort of sing in French and do French voiceovers as well. So I always had my hand in a lot of sort of musical aspects, really. So always sort of reinventing myself with what I was doing. And then in 1984, I think it was, 1984-85, for some strange reasons, the Cypriot conglomerate at the time, I suppose, that was in charge of the Eurovision Song Contest, wanted to come to London and audition for musicians to represent Cyprus.
It was the first time when they took part in the Eurovision Song Contest, or later on?
No.
It was a bit later,
It was a bit later on, but for some reason...
Because I remember Monica, I think it was the first song they took to Eurovision.
Monica was many years after, but that particular year, I think they struggled to find musicians in Cyprus. So I do remember they came over and we auditioned at the Gâteau Bleu. So it was myself or Chaz, or Andy Kyriakou, και η Εύη, who is now η Ευρυδίκη, η τραγουδίστρια Ευρυδίκη της Ελλάδας, ήταν και αυτή μαζί μας, because we were the band for Ελπίδα, τη τραγουδίστρια την Ελπίδα, την Ελληνίδα.
So used to live here in London?
Yeah, she was here for a while. Yeah, she was here for a little while. And yeah, that was a wonderful experience. It was, it was great. We kind of got to... you know, go to Norway, to the show, go and record the video in Cyprus.
Good experience,
It was a wonderful but a very funny experience because όταν πήγαμε στην Κύπρο, we went to studios to record the video, and you know, we're sort of expecting studios to the standard of a British studio, and it was quite hilarious that, you know, Yorgo and Yanni were in the studio, and that's it. Where the lights stopped, where it shone was the right position for us to be in.
Oh,
so that was quite funny that, yes, you know, it was all very sort of antiquated at the time. Oh. And then there's a part in the video where we're on the car. It was like a cart. Yeah. There were two cows in the front. Yorgo and Yanni were in the back, holding on for dear life and holding the camera, yes, with the other hand, trying to film what was going to be a professional video to go out on TV.
You have a clip somewhere, for you know, this Eurovision Song Contest?
I believe so. I don't. Yes. Oh gosh, I mean, they're on YouTube and everything, like all of them are.
Okay.
But yeah, that's many moons ago. Many. Yeah.
Yes.
It's quite young then.
It was then when you met your husband.
Yeah.
You got
yes,
married that time,
actually, yes, it was around about that time. I met Andy from the drummer. He was at the time he was the drummer of Modern Romance. So yeah, we did quite a lot of work together. Obviously, we worked together in the clubs. We did the Eurovision Song Contest and some other sort of recording work and stuff we did. So that worked out quite well. Then, unfortunately, you know, things happen.
But you have two kids, yeah?
We do. We have two wonderful kids who are also, they're 24 and nearly 21. And they're both very sort of creative as well. My daughter is a singer as well. She's studying at the British Institute of Music. And she's doing very well. My son is a writer, so he's sort of working in that creative field as a writer as well. So yeah, it's a very creative family. Yeah,
going back to the period of you know, like Guy and Gazanjis and all this kind of thing. And before we start the interview, you sang something from Gazanjidis.
I know it's insane, and it doesn't match up that a female would be singing Gazanjidis. But you know, that era of songs, it wasn't just about singing the song. Itan o bothos, you know, the passion of bothos. There was pain, there was anger, there was love.
I want to see all this. I mean, the passion, τον πόθον, όχι τον πόνο. I don't want to see pain. But you know, you can give us an example? I mean, I want to hear you singing a cappella.
Oh my God!
The first time in my life I can hear.
I haven't. Oh my goodness! Let's have a look.
Oh my God! Yes.
I haven't, what's it called, warmed up my voice or anything, but I'll give you a little
Doesn't matter.
snippet.
I mean, you don't
For example, το «Πάρε τα χνάρια μου», αυτό είναι πολύ ωραίο τραγούδι του Καζαντζή αυτό, πολύ ωραίο τραγούδι. Πάρε τα χνάρια που αφήσαν τα μαύρα δάκρυα μου και έλα απόψε να με βρεις εκεί στην ερημιά σου. Βήμα, βήμα, δάκρυ, δάκρυ, θα με βρεις σε κάποια άκρη. Να κλαίω για σένα, αγάπη μου, που τώρα ζεις μακριά μου.
Bravo, bravo.
I think what it is it's,
you know something?
I have a very low register, which is why...
You got the passion, you got the, you know, everything, and it's a little bit... jazzy. What do you think?
It is jazzy because that's the kind of genre and route I've gone down now. So
tell me about it.
It's wonderful actually. About 2 years ago, I reconnected with an old school friend of mine who was involved in a very different business to the music industry, and he always wanted to get into the music industry. So I went to a special show that he put together at Cadogan Hall, which is a gorgeous venue in London, to watch a live performance but with Sennheiser earphones, which was very interesting. Anyway, we went and we met the artist after, and then I said, oh, it'd be fantastic, I'd love to do something again. And he says, well, why don't you send me some stuff? So I had to rummage around for some really old stuff I had. And then before I knew it, he bought the Hampstead Jazz Club, which is an amazing new space for live music and live wonderful jazz artists. But there are a lot of diverse artists as well, because what I love about jazz is it's so free and it lends itself to so much improvisation that you can do a lot of blending and fusion with that. So it works really well. So I then realised, because that was another love of mine, I love jazz. I love the old singers, Doris Day, Diane Reeves, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald. So if I think about, in retrospect, when I think about myself, I've always loved sort of the older genres of things, both in Greek music and with English music. And because the timbre of my voice tends to be more on the low register, it does lend itself quite well to the jazz.
With the old,
yeah. So I performed last year as my first live show for many, many years, which was quite successful. It was a sellout, which was lovely. And I'm collaborating with some new people along the way. And hoping to possibly get together with some Middle Eastern musicians as well, so we can bring a little bit more of the fusion into jazz. For example, I've taken, okay, this isn't a typical jazz song, but it's a beautiful song sung by Nat King Cole and George Benson called Nature Boy. I've written some Greek lyrics, so I start. Song, I start the song in English and jazz, and then I bring the Greek lyrics in. And I've actually done that with quite a few of the jazz songs that I'm singing from the Great American Songbook as well. But there's also one particular song that I actually sing it in English, Greek, French, and Spanish.
Yeah.
And it just adds something a little bit more exciting.
So how many languages do you speak?
Well, obviously I speak Greek and French. I do speak a little bit of Spanish. I do speak
English,
a little bit, I speak a little bit of Italian. I understand more Spanish and Italian than what I can speak, but it'll be something that because I've always had an affinity for languages, I pick them up quite quickly. So it's something I want to explore and build on again. But I think this sort of diversity of bringing sort of languages makes it different, so it gives me my own niche, because you know, you've got to have a USP, you've got to have something that's a little bit different. And I think in the history of jazz, it's quite a new thing for the Greek music scene, which is why I think it would be really fascinating to be able to collaborate and work with various composers, arrangers, pianists, musicians, to really bring those Greek nuances into it, because you can, what we call in Greek, όταν πηγαίνει η φωνή με αυτά τα γυρίσματα που κάνουμε στα ελληνικά, you can incorporate it into the English jazz, because it allows you that freedom to do that. So I'm really excited about that. That's good. That's something that I'm doing.
Yeah, and you have a gig.
I do. My next show is on Sunday, the 7th of April, and it's going to be at the Hampstead Jazz Club. And you can find all the information at www.hampsteadjazzclub.com. And you'll see again all the other acts and everything we've got on there. You can also follow me on Instagram at jazzbydrou, and on Facebook I think it's Drew again, and then I've got my own website as well, which is www.drew.co.uk. Obviously it'll be kind of building as I'm sort of creating new things and being able to post my new work slowly, because this is all very new to me. Although I was singing about 30 years ago, you know, life's kind of come full circle.
You're reborn.
Yeah, and you know what? If there's one thing I can say, I feel so incredibly blessed, and I'm so grateful, firstly for the opportunity, but to sort of just say to people out there, you know, it doesn't matter what age you are. If there's something in you, you can pick it up at any stage. But first and foremost, you've got to find that belief and drive within yourself. And you have to give to the self first. Unless you give to yourself, you can't be, firstly, the best version of yourself, or to be able to give to other people. So it's really, really important to realise that, and to know that we all have the ability as long as you take, you know, you need to take some action for a reaction to happen. Once you take that action, the reactions begin to happen, and then it sort of spirals and can take you where you want to go. Never in a million years did I think I would be in this position at this stage in my life now.
Yes.
But I'm embracing it, and I'm, as I said, really grateful for it, and it's really exciting.
Okay, what have you been doing during, you know, all these years after when you stopped singing until now?
Well, obviously I had my children, so being a mum was a real priority for me. I've been a very, very hands-on mum, and I didn't want to sort of, you know, if I carried along that path, it meant I would be working very, very late nights, and I didn't want that lifestyle then. It wasn't conducive to a family lifestyle. So I thought, okay, what are the skills I have? So I thought I speak languages, obviously I sing. So I set up my own children's musical educational classes. So what I mean by that is I took the early years curriculum as such.
Yes.
And I wrote my own curriculum and put music to it, because music is such a universal medium for all children, irrespective of whether they can speak a language, irrespective of whether they have a disability or not. It's something that all children can get involved in, all children gain immense pleasure from, and a medium that is incredible in delivering amazing results in terms of their learning and progression. Because, you know, the more you expose children to at an early stage in life, the more fired up they are, and the more sort of brain cells they form in to take them along their educational journey. So basically I was teaching numeracy, literacy, all the subjects, a little bit of science, all through music, movement, visual stimuli. So I did that for about 15 years, and very, very successful. I was then approached by the presidential family in Azerbaijan. Someone was visiting here, and they were building an incredible multi-million-pound children's centre in Azerbaijan, which was just outstanding. And they wanted some kind of educational programme that they could implement in the centre. So somebody came to see me, because I used to provide my sessions to a lot of private nurseries, Montessori's, a lot of big children's centres. So when somebody saw what I did, we then had meetings, and they commissioned me and said, you know, we'd like you to write a children's programme specifically for us, come over and train the staff, implement it in the centre. So it's kind of a little bit, it's
so
quite lovely.
So you lived there for
yeah, I went there for about 2 weeks to implement it and train the staff. But it's great, because it's almost a little bit of legacy, a little bit of that time of my life, because, as I said, that lasted for 15 years, because it meant that I could provide those services when the children were at school. I could pick them up after school, and I could be with them during holiday times. Then I wrote a French programme. So when you're a creative, you're forever reinventing yourself and what you do. And I thought, okay, so this has really worked with the English curriculum. How about I do it in French now? So I then started teaching French to 2-year-olds, 2 to 5-year-olds, through my own curriculum again, and through the medium of music. And again, the results have been phenomenal, because we're not just talking 2 or words here, you know, bonjour, au revoir. We're talking children that by the time they were 5 could have a proper little conversation.
Bravo.
And then, because my own way of keeping grounded is, I love to do yoga, and I love to do a bit of Tai Chi, which is the complete opposite spectrum of the all singing, all dancing me. And I, you know, the more I got into that, and again I saw the benefits of that, and relaxation and meditation and colour therapy, I then wrote a programme for children.
Bravo. Based
around yoga and storytelling through yoga, but also allowing them to get in touch with their own breath, with their own body, their own mind, and to help them to sort of understand how to manage their own emotional states, you know, if they were sad, if they were angry, to actually have the tools that they could use to calm themselves down and to feel better with. And that went really well as well. And then I was entertaining. I was a children's entertainer as well at the weekend when I could do that. So
bravo.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot. So I like to go and see this video clip about you singing jazz.
Okay.
And then we come back and
okay. Thank you. Great.
Okay, let's go and see it, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
With mommy and daddy standing by.
Very good. Πολύ ωραίο. Μπράβο σου, μπράβο σου. Αν και το είχα δει και προηγουμένως, εντάξει, το απόλαυσα.
Ναι.
You got a brilliant voice, yes.
Thanks. It's,
Okay.
yeah, it works well, as I said, especially with the jazz and bringing in a bit of Greek.
Yeah. All right. Now, when we start the interview, before we start, you brought this and you say, I love to be, you know, you love the feeling of Cyprus.
I do.
Are you going to Cyprus very often? I mean, you
Well,
visit Cyprus?
I don't go every year. I do tend to try and go every couple of years. I just feel this innate connection, and it's really, it's a wonderful thing to know that although I was born here, that I'm still very, very drawn to my cultural roots, and I get very emotional. You know, it's almost like, because I'm quite sort of a passionate and emotional person, so I do feel very connected when I'm in Cyprus. The sea, I mean, I absolutely adore the sea in Cyprus. For me, being at one with the sea is where it's my favourite place to be. And just to sort of, it's the whole essence of it, you know, I know things change and Cyprus isn't, you know, it's also progressing as a country, but I still remember sort of the old parts of Cyprus, how it was, you know, when we were growing up and when we used to visit. So I do feel really close affinity with my roots.
Are your children able to speak the language, or do
they understand more than they can speak?
Yes.
It's really very difficult for us, you know, born here, to sustain the language completely with our children. As I said, the beauty is they do understand. They do speak a little, which means they can communicate with Yayan Bapu, which is the important.
Yes.
That's the important thing. But I suppose it's a little bit sad that some of our, as much as we try to teach them and show them, you know, they're living such different lives now in a very, very diverse world of opportunities, that I don't know how strongly they will feel in terms of that connection. I feel that my generation is that last generation of the crossover people, you know, where we come from remembering what it was like for us growing up in you know, the 60s, 70s and 80s, and not having the social media and what's available now. Which is why I think even more so I hold it very dear to me in terms of what Cyprus means to me. I find it very grounding for me. I take myself off to little spaces that are not full of people, because you can, if you explore, I much prefer the off the beaten track, little places you can go and meditate and kind of ground yourself again in. So yeah, I love that.
But I suppose you can cook the
Oh yeah, I
Greek,
do. Yeah, absolutely. I do love cooking. I do love food, all food, including a lot of Italian food.
Μαγαρόνια του
Ναι,
φούρνου.
μαγαρόνια του φούρνου, οι κεφτέδες, ντολμάδες, κουπέπια. Όλα αυτά τα κάνουμε.
You learned from your mother? Or?
I did learn from mum, but I think you've also, like with everything else, you've got to love what you do. If you love what you do, it tastes better.
Oh, definitely.
If you love what you do, it sounds better if it's a song. So it's, you know, it's what you put into something is the essence of how it is and the result that you get, which is, yeah, but I do enjoy cooking, and I do very labour intensive, some of the Greek dishes, I have to say. So you've got to sort of know and dedicate.
What is your favourite? I mean,
my favourite Greek dish? Keftedes.
Ah, keftedes. Okay.
Yeah, love my keftedes.
Yeah, why not? Yes.
Macaronia do forno.
Macaronia do forno.
Yeah,
yes.
so it's all good.
Okay, I tell you what, you mentioned earlier on, follow me on a website or whatever.
Oh, on my Instagram,
yes.
jazzbydrou.
And I'll follow you to your house.
Oh, I see. But for some keftedes, macaronia do forno.
Yes,
yeah, why not?
Of course.
Why not? We'll make it a whole Hellenic TV evening of food.
Yes, yes.
And with a little bit of live rendition of songs in between.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the hostess with the mostess.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
she entertains,
yes.
she cooks. And that's it.
That's it, yes.
All in one, an all-in-one show.
Yes, only one show. And now, you have plans, yes. I mean, what plans do you have in the future? I mean, I know you want to, you mentioned earlier on, you want to put a little bit of Greekness in the jazz, you know, shows you are doing and all this kind of thing. What else? I mean, how are you going to go about it and all this?
Well, as I said, it's all to do with having lots of different collaborations with people and musicians that sort of understand your ideas and also understand the difference between Greek music and Western music, English, and being able to combine that in terms of the notation, you know, because we have a different, you know, notes and chord structures. Yeah. But it's just so interesting when the two can be combined, you know, maybe bringing in a little bit of bouzouki in with the jazz, you know, include a little bit of bouzouki, a little bit of laudo, a little bit of dambuleki, and a little bit of Middle Eastern music.
A little bit of Gabli.
A little bit of Bithgavlin. So as I said, it's a it's a freer genre of music where you can express yourself and create something new. And I think there's a lot more passionate when you sing something in Greek. I don't know what it is. It's not just about the language. It's just there is something different. It's like when I sing one of the songs, I love singing it, but the minute I start singing the Greek lyrics, all of a sudden for me it comes to life a little bit more, and it just gives. And it was interesting actually to see the audience's reaction last year, because obviously the audience aren't all going to sort of understand the lyrics, but they were still so engaged because I think they sort of got the essence of the passion and the emotion of the song, although they don't necessarily understand the lyrics. So that was kind of proof to me that actually, yes, it can work and it does work. Hence, my objective is to bring in more of the languages and integrate more languages into the music, as well as the different musical nuances. And I think what the other interesting thing is sometimes you may think that it's two different people singing one song, because the voice, obviously, where the placement of the voice, the placement of your intonation and everything changes when you're singing in English and when you're singing in Greek. So because I can sing one song with the different languages, you kind of have to do a little bit of a double take, because it's like, oh, is it one person singing, or is it like one person and then somebody else singing? So I like that element of surprise it can give, and I want to bring something different, something new and fresh.
Yeah, that's nice. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yes, of course. You write music as well, or just?
I do write songs. Yeah, I've many years. I haven't written for a while, but I've written a lot of Greek songs. Used to write a lot of Greek songs actually.
Did you?
When I was singing Greek.
And you record them?
No, I think if I remember rightly, I think Andy Paul may have recorded one of my songs at the time, but I didn't actually get round to recording them then. No, but I used to love writing Greek songs. Love it again, and it used to come quite naturally to me. I do write a lot of English as well, and I also, because I love writing anyway, whether it's a song or whether it's just for creative purposes. I do write a lot of poetry, and I'm inspired with through experience.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I do is experiential. So, you know, I'm inspired by situations in life, emotions, which then, you know, lead to me either writing or singing or coming up with an idea of how to explore an avenue of sorts. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Because lots of things lined up.
Looking forward to the future, so we can see, and especially, you know, your show. Tell us again when and where.
Yeah, so it's at the Hampstead Jazz Club, which is in Hampstead. It's recently reopened as a wonderful new jazz club. The acoustics in the space it's very reminiscent of how a jazz club used to be many years ago, you know, where you had the class acts, very raw, but just beautiful live music. And it's in the basement of the Duke of Hamilton pub, which is a very famous pub in Hampstead. A lot of writers and musicians used to go there. So basically you could go to the pub, have something to eat and go downstairs for your show. And we have, as I said, some wonderful artists. I'm going to be there on Sunday, the 7th of April. You can get tickets on the website at www.hampsteadjazzclub.com. And yeah, it's going to be another great night. And you can follow me on jazzbydrou on Instagram. So that's where I tend to kind of post all the information of up-and-coming shows and any projects and new things that I'm involved in.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Do you have anything else to add? I mean, do you want to say something else? Or?
I just kind of want to say thank you, really. Thank you to everybody that's given me so many new opportunities and for supporting me and believing in me. I have some incredible, amazingly special friends. I feel very blessed. I have a wonderful family. And I'm very grateful for the support that I have constantly, for my wonderful children, you know, and just for, you know, that I have been given. It's like a second chance, really, a second chance to do what I know I was always meant to do, only the kind of the pathways sort of veered a little bit differently. But, you know, with passion and dedication and belief, it's brought me back to that thing that I've always held within me, knowing that I could do something with it.
What is the most important thing in your life? I mean, you know.
The most important, well, you know, it's got to be the children.
Yes.
I mean, it always is. It's, as a parent, you'll never, nothing will surpass that. No matter what comes up, you know, you never, as a mother, they're always your pride and joy. They always sort of come first, and it's a joy for me, and I'm extremely proud to watch them grow and be successful in the fields that they're successful. And it's also equally lovely when they come to see me, and a little bit strange for me because, you know, they weren't around at the time when I was performing so many years ago, that they sit there and they're sort of proud of me now. So it's lovely that we've got this kind of mutual appreciation club going on between us all.
That's good.
Yeah, so
Nice
just to be happy and healthy, and for everybody to, you know, be well, and the family.
I wish you all the best. I wish you,
Thank you very
be
much.
happy and healthy, and keep going, you know what I mean? And thank you for
thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure, and very really pleased that, as I said, for me it was also important to mention how proud I am to be a British-born Greek Cypriot that can also be an ambassador of our culture by being able to bring some of our culture into Western music, into jazz, whatever it may be, and that makes me incredibly proud. And to have this opportunity is wonderful. So thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Να ευχαριστήσουμε και εσάς, τους καλούς φίλους τηλεθεατές, να ευχαριστήσουμε και τον χορηγό μας, τον Dr. Βασίλη Μαύρου και το Arosilettings. Thanks very much. And me and you and me, θα συναντηθούμε την ερχόμενη Κυριακή, λίγο μετά τις 8, με ένα καινούργιο πρόσωπο ή πρόσωπα. Μέχρι τότε να είστε καλά, να προσέχετε τους εαυτούς σας, να αγαπάτε τους εαυτούς σας, για να μπορείτε να αγαπάτε και τους άλλους και να χαμογελάτε. Καλή νύχτα.
Estás más a mi lado, corazón. En el alma solo tengo tengo soledad, y si ya no puedo verte, por Diosito quererte, para siempre sufrir más. C'est la flamme qui enflamme sans brûler, c'est le rêve qui en rêve sans dormir, comme un arbre qui se tresse, plein de force et de tendresse, vers le jour qui va venir. Σαν τον έρωτα αυτό που ποτέ δεν θα βρω, που με γέμισε απ' το φως τη ζωή στο γλυκό, σαν τον έρωτα που βλέπω μες στα μάτια σου τα δυο, σαν τον έρωτα που νιώθω για εσένα που αγαπώ. Ιστορία μιας αγάπης σαν κι αυτή, ούτε γράφτηκε ούτε θα ξαναγραφτεί, που τη γράψανε τα νιάτα, μορφούς και φιλιά γεμάτα, τραγουδώντας αγαπώ. Mon histoire, c'est l'histoire d'un amour, ma complainte, sa plainte du cœur, un roman comme tant d'autres, qui pourrait être le ventre, gens d'ici ou bien d'ailleurs. Σαν τον έρωτα αυτό που ποτέ δεν θα βρω, που με γέμισε απ' το φως τη ζωή στο γλυκό, σαν τον έρωτα που βλέπω μες στα μάτια σας τα δυο, σαν τον έρωτα που νιώθω για εσένα που αγαπώ. Ya no estás más a mi lado, corazón, en el alma solo tengo soledad, y si ya no puedo verte, por Diosito quererte, para siempre sufrir más. Es la historia